Hi, Gemini. You'll hear outside noises because my window is open and I live in a urban area. Oh, we already have a card out. But first, happy birthday to those of you who have had birthdays up until this point, and then happy early birthday to those having birthdays soon. Already, I feel that you guys are up in the air and that you're feeling maybe more bubbly or things bubbling to the surface, and the title and all of this is around bubbles. Whether it's you feeling bubbly and like this bubblegum shirt I have on, whether you're feeling like things are bubbling to the surface for you, whether you feel like it may have nothing to do with external resources, but it's you just feeling things inside bubbling up to the surface. I think that there is some of you with external factors to deal with, and that's what this Judgment card first out is telling you. It's right when we get to your season, everybody wants to communicate. We're still in a Mercury retrograde in Gemini as well, and everyone wants to communicate about everything, and especially the things having to do with humans, which is why a lot of people's focus is a trial going on. And some of you may feel like you are under trial. It could be from yourself, or it just could be the fact that this can go one way or another, because there is such an extreme with your sign, especially if you're one who has a sun sign, a Gemini sun sign. There could be such extremities with one Gemini that you know with another. And I find that in Aries, I find that in a couple of different signs more often than not. So you're being told externally, internally, whether you want to hear it or not, whether you were looking for it or not, you're hearing, and the Judgment card is something or someone. I don't think this is about you, but we'll continue reading the cards. That something, you're coming to a realization, or a realization just hit you recently, or something just hit you recently, or something something you can't take back. Like, oh, you can't unsee this, you can't unhear this. And it's about whatever you've been working on, and whatever your plan is. You find that there's a couple different ways you can go, and we talked about your decisions last month, which felt so like such short period of time ago, and it really was, but you're going to come out the other side stronger. The thing here is, it's about how you work and how you maneuver. For some of you, you're going to become extremely clear and extremely focused about what your moves are and how you want to make them. For some of you, you need to express this and leave a situation. It's one or the other. It's pretty black and white for that part this month. Everything else, of course, is always in between. But you've been waiting for this. So Taurus season kind of usually is very upfront, very blunt, but for a Gemini, you don't take it all too seriously until it hits you. It's also a very air sign quality, don't get me wrong. But we have this Queen of Wands here, that in the end, you will come out stronger. That after all this, or as whatever's bubbling up and spilling over and is having you look at something, it's because it's about you having more control and you having more power. For those of you where this is more about you coming to the realization that everything you've worked hard on is now coming to fruition. It's an extremely exciting time for you, because you may have had set plans before, but this is a beautiful time. Gemini season is a beautiful, wonderful time to get curious about what in your plan doesn't work anymore. Being a Gemini, it's beautiful that you have this very masterful, abstract way of dealing with your projects, with your creativity, with your business, with the people around you. You find different ways to tweak things which no longer works for you anymore. And for some of you, it is about leaving a place, but for others of you, it's about going into these projects or this creation or something that you've done and really tweaking fine details so that it works better. And it's showing you that is a part of your master skill that you're learning in this lifetime, especially for those of you with the sun signs. For those of you with rising signs, it's very obviously that there's a clean break. So either some of you are leaving and doing more for yourself and that which you need to, like you may have felt protected up until this time, and now it's time to get going. Or it's about how you choose to show up. Some of you may have a lot to say, for those of you with Gemini rising. But for those of you with the sun signs, or a mixture even, there's this very clear view that you have and want for yourself. You're known to be someone who changes their mind, changes certain things. But when you have a vision for yourself and you have a clear direction for yourself, clarity in a clear direction means something to you that not everyone else understands. For you, it's about the concept. So as long as it's within the concept, it doesn't matter what you do and how you get there. There may be something or two things that you definitely want to do and that you'll do, but you're not expecting to get most of you, if you understand what I mean by this, and if you've been through this, or some of you might be learning this, is that you come to this conclusion that it doesn't matter if you decide to paint and that makes you all of the income, but you like to paint, so you want to let it out there regardless of how many people purchase it or buy it or look at it. But then you may also have like a podcast and you didn't even think, but being the sign of, talking and communication, Taurus may rule the throat, but Gemini season is about communication and miscommunication, and the things coming out that had been tucked away. And Taurus season was kind of, whether you realize it or not, it psychically prepares you within your body to either hear some things or say some things. And if you said it then, it may have come out in a certain way, and now when you're saying it now, it's coming out in a different way. And for some of you, it's better. For some of other people, when you express or explain things, people might be confused because of what has happened up until this point. I know, lots of different places we're moving in, but that's why it's so bubbly. It's just also about protecting your bubble. So we're going to get there too. And that's what this is all about. So that Queen of Wands, that power, that control that you have more over yourself or over your situation, whether it's starting a whole new venture or seeing the plan, the bigger plan, but also seeing the smaller steps. And now you're in this place to understand, okay, well, if I want the Ace of Cups, or if the Ace of Cups is my aim, having abundance, having love, being fulfilled, and being able to do as you please, have freedom, also love what you do. From now until Virgo season, it's a really good time to get into those fine details and put your focus there. It may feel like all you're doing is working, but it's going to help different aspects of your life as well. Things that maybe you missed up until this point, or things that really just need to be addressed. You're going to be able to see that light a little more clearly the more that you take what you've done internally and start putting it into play in your life. This month can be for anybody, because this month is very much a representation of all life, pretty much, in my opinion. It's really important for you to decide whether you want to spend this season being controlled by the media or what's in culture, what's being showed around you, or if what really gets your attention and what really works for you is being more free with yourself. And what do I mean by that? That gets me to the bubble part. Also another part of the bubble gum. Protecting your energy. Whether or not you've agreed to something, you could make with someone else. You can make a contract with yourself. This is something I've done a long time ago. I think this could help many Geminis. You might be like, oh yeah, whatever right now, but once Mercury goes into Taurus, this might be something you want to take, and it'll still be in retrograde. It will be in a couple of days from now. So this will be out already. Where you have the wherewithal, the tools, and the opportunity to really listen to your body more than ever. You can make commitments to other people but the ultimate commitment has to be whether it's right for you and your body. Now, I understand not everyone has that much control, but this month is somewhat about that. It's leaking from last month into this month. In the bottom of the deck, we have the Empress. So if new things are coming to your mind, or you want a new start, you want a fresh start, you have to be willing to see where that's coming from and what's making you feel as though you can't have one. What makes you feel as though what's holding you down, or what you're not being able to see until now. And that really gets you going, because it's almost like getting you prepared for when Mars goes into Gemini, and then we have that retrograde with Mars towards the end of the year, and that's towards Virgo season, so that makes sense. So what's important for you now is to understand Ace of Cups is what is behind the Ace of Pentacles. It's your feelings, it's your emotions. This month can be up and down for you, but what are the ups about? What are the downs about? What makes you feel up? Is it with you because you're connecting with people, you have a deeper connection, and what's coming out making you feel lighter? Or is it external things that are making you happy, and then the instant gratification just going away? That's what I was looking for. So what you need to find behind this all is what your purpose in this matter is. This month will show you and reveal to you all the things that you need to know for the rest of the year for you. You'll understand it, and it will come at you in different ways, through art, through communicating, through others communicating. But your bubble is really important. So when you make that contract with yourself, even though you've made an external commitment to go somewhere or hang out with someone, and you may feel like, oh, it's your season, you have to, you may feel a little different this month. You may feel like you want to internalize, because some of you might have to go through the experience of going out and realizing like, oh, I actually don't want to hang out right now, or I actually would feel better just like hang out with like one person, or whatever it is that you feel like is shifting within you, and how you communicate and how you relate. It's because so that you can continue this overflowing creative energy that's happening with you. And when you choose not to act upon that in a way that's beneficial for you, like creating something, putting your energy into something instead of someone else, or something that you know you can't control, or a situation or someone else's situation, and just getting involved in those things instead of your own life, you'll find that you'll keep coming up against a wall. But when you finally get on track and you have this thing rolling, and this creation rolling, or whatever, if you're doing what you're meant to do, whether it's working for someone else or not, you're kind of gaining energy and momentum along the way, then that's the way you want to continue. If you continuously hit a wall, and if you're a Gemini sun, Gemini rising, that's progression. It's showing you, okay, you need to maybe change. You might want to think about maneuvering a little, because you're meant to be you're agile. You can have weight to you, no doubt, and be a very strong in your body, because most Geminis are, and people relate that to the head, and it is very much. But at the same time, it's still the very human sign, and it's the different sides of the human that we see. That's why if you pay attention and you look into like celebrities or people who are overexposed parts of the sun signs that we all see, which is the overexposure or exploitation, and just using that in the very literal sense is not having an opinion. That's just the very literal definition of what it does. We see so many different sides of different Geminis. We see very clearly that no matter what they do, for the most part, they take ownership, or some even take accountability for what they choose to put out there. And if you're a Gemini who doesn't do that, then you're going to find yourself hitting the wall, because as the most human sign, your accountability is the most beautiful thing. Your humility is the most beautiful thing. It gives people or other permission to learn that about you, because a lot of people have a hard time with that. And seeing it from you is so much you being in your sign so much, because you give us that chance. And not to weigh this too much on you, and like for you to take too much of this responsibility upon yourself, but it's also going to be beneficial in your life. It's going to give you new opportunities, new openings, new ways of seeing yourself and others. And if you're already someone who has acknowledged this, and you are a very self-aware Gemini, it's your time to make decisions based off of what's going to make you feel good, happy, full, excited, all the things that make you such a beautiful creature. But it's also about protecting this bubble, protecting yourself, protecting your surroundings. And if you're someone who doesn't have like plants or an animal or a kid or all these different things that you could be protective over, I suggest you start with your own body and what positions you put yourself in. Like, I know it sounds so disciplined, but that's where even more creation can come from, is being disciplined in certain aspects of your life. And for this, something very clearly hit you right away, or someone very clearly really opened your eyes to what maybe you're missing, and realizing that regardless if certain parts of your works have been validated and others haven't been, it doesn't make it any less important. It doesn't make it any less than the ones that have been seen or validated, because you created it. And that's something that you teach people. But it's something I think that I also want to acknowledge for you, because you need to see that. I think that you guys need to be reminded of that. I think each side needs to be reminded of their strengths and what's so good about them. And sometimes we forget to even do those things for ourselves. And this month, you might feel extremely psychic and extremely intuitive, but you might feel in overdrive if you don't know how to ground that, or have some type of practices or do things that are really good for you. And that's why I always come back to the body, because the Knight of Swords here is that these things can really propel you. So a lot of you might be extremely propelled this month into the next part of your life, and it's really important for you to be, you're going to get very clear. And again, you'll go in and fix those fine details over the grand scheme of the concept. And I think that if you really paid attention in Taurus season and looked at things wisely and listened more than anything, you're going to come into your month feeling strong and powerful, ready to go, and Cancer season is going to be that much more fruitful for you. And throughout the summer, it's going to continuously grow, just like the summer. As the beginning of summer, you continue to grow. So the next part, we'll get even into more detail. This just like, so happy to see you, so happy to like talk to you and feel this energy where you don't feel, you're just different right now, and that's a good thing. And you know that, and I know it's still vulnerable for you. I just really want you to see the things happening in your life, whether they're positive or negative, in your eyes, they're all for the better. And it's up to you to decide whether your season is going to hit you or you're going to take control of it in the ways that you can. You can't control what you come out and like what comes out and around you, but what you can control is how you react and how you choose to open and expand not only your heart, your abundance, your wealth, your enjoyment, but also your ideas and your concepts and the money and the people. It's all doing its thing, and it might not feel like a pretty bow I'm wrapping this up in, but when we get into the second part, which is in a Patreon link below, we'll get further into that as well. And all information to work with me one-on-one is below. Okay, Gemini? And I hope you have a great rest of your season. We'll see you next month.